Welcome to the Cor Memories Podcast, the ultimate nostalgia trip for kids of the 80s and 90s. Join us as we take a heartfelt and humorous journey through the sights, sounds, and stories that defined our childhoods. From Saturday morning cartoons and blockbuster movies to iconic music and the simple joys of growing up in a pre-digital world. We'll deep dive into the pop culture and personal memories that made these decades unforgettable. Whether you're reminiscing about your favorite action figures, reliving epic playground debates, or remembering the thrill of recording songs off the radio, Cor Memories is your go-to podcast for all things retro. So let's start reliving the magic together, because those were the days, and the memories are forever. Now, here's this week's episode. The 1980s, a time when staying home sick from school wasn't just about feeling lousy. It was an event, a ritual, and sometimes, if we're being honest, a little bit of a secret holiday. You woke up with a scratchy throat or maybe just perfected your "I don't feel so good" face in the mirror. Mom would take your temperature, hand you a blanket, and, if you were lucky, declare it a stay-at-home day. But staying home sick in the 80s? Whew, that was a whole vibe. It meant sprawling out on the couch in your comfiest pajamas, a box of saltine crackers on one side, a flat bottle of ginger ale on the other. No smartphones, no Netflix binges, and absolutely no TikTok. Just you, a stack of Garfield comics, and the comforting glow of a wood-paneled TV playing The Price is Right or Inspector Gadget. And let's not forget those midday commercials for toys you suddenly had to have, or sugary cereals Mom wouldn't buy unless you were too sick to argue. Staying home sick was as much about the quiet magic of solitude as it was about the unsung heroes of the 80s, Saltines, ginger ale, and Bob Barker. So grab your blanket, pour yourself a glass of that golden fizzy medicine, and join me as we rewind to a simpler time. A time when being a sick kid meant staying home, soaking up the sounds of daytime TV, and making memories you never thought would last a lifetime. Let's go ahead and hit play on the nostalgia. Forget school books. This guest rewrote the curriculum with a stack of VHS tapes. From The Goonies to Back to the Future. Let's hear it for the Sultan of Sick Day Cinema, Chris Tansky. Hey, Chris.
Hi, how's it going?
Very well. How you feeling? I felt a little cough coming on there.
I'm fine.
Next guy's going to have to openly barf on his intro. Chicken noodle soup in one hand and a remote in the other. This guest turns sick days into a spectacular sport. The king of Campbell's and daytime TV dynasties. Please welcome Joe Zakari. Hello, Joe.
Hey, how are you?
I'm sorry, that was me.
I thought that was going to go somewhere else, as in like the king of skin flicks or something like that.
Oh boy, my God, we're coming out of the gate hot. Okay, all right.
Hot loads.
Oh my God, so much editing that's going to have to be done, and we're 30 seconds in.
You don't change a thing. I will not be censored.
You guys are begging for an E in the Apple podcast world. I'd like to just keep it a family-friendly show. Fine. Since we are talking about staying home sick in the 1980s, okay? And this could go in different ways, but just for the folks listening at home or on the road or at the car dealership waiting for the oil to get changed, or wherever, doctor's office, good call. We were 4 to 14 in the 1980s. Okay, I'm showing our age here, but the reason I say that is because we're focusing on this. And Joe, you started to go to a place where, I don't know, maybe late 80s you would be at home on on a random Tuesday in January going,
Sure.
I mean, I don't have Cinemax, but I can hear it. I don't know. That's you. That's you.
I do like my video scrambled.
Just like you like your eggs, right?
Like my eggs. Yes, okay. There you go.
All right. So if you're tuning in, this episode is all about staying home from school as a kid in the 1980s. And we're going to go down memory lane and have some conversations about it. So let's start things off. Open it up right away. The sick day setup. Okay. We've established that whether, and you guys can tell stories about true sick days where you're truly down and out, and or you're just not feeling it that Thursday, or I'm going to turn this into a 3-day weekend, whatever you want to do. But let's talk a little bit about symptoms and tactics that get you that pass to stay home from school. Tech, I'm going to start with you. Did you have a go-to parent that you were like, if I talk to this one, I'm definitely staying home. This one, I might have to pass a couple of blood tests first, or, that kind of thing. Was there someone that you went to? Did you have a particular way of doing things, or were you always just like making up new, different ailments to get yourself staying home? Did you keep a chart?
My dad worked nights, so he was usually sleeping when it'd be time for me to go to school. So with my mom, she was very naivete when it came to the symptoms, so I could easily feign a good cough.
Okay.
Or high temperature. I would fake the high temperature.
Same question, Joe. How did you do it? Did you have schematics? Did you, like I said, I know you're thinking back, you're getting ready here. I don't want to say anything about your personality, but I lean on you as maybe taking a few extra days.
So I was a connive.
Okay, there it is.
Yeah, so I've had migraines my whole life, and that was always my go-to. Didn't feel like it.
Well done.
So I got bad headaches. Yeah. So and I had them since I was young. So taking advantage of the situation was in my pocket and ready to be pulled at any time.
There was no way to. Yeah. You don't have a headache. How would you know? Yeah.
Right. And my biggest sign was that I go in the bathroom and throw up. So I could just go in the bathroom and pretend to throw up, and violently, mind you, and close the door, flush the toilet, and go, "Oh, Mom, I just threw up." She'd be like, "All right, looks like you're staying home." So it was good, yeah.
Pop the squat.
Okay, conniver, I got to ask though. Okay, and again,
it's Captain Conniver to you.
Captain Conniver, Commander Conniver. The question is, going back into your core memories, did you use that once a year, twice a year? Were you like, Ferris Bueller style, changing how many days they've missed? Because the way I'm presenting this is, if you only used it sparingly, it was probably legit with the folks.
They bought it. Incredible. One of the worst performances of my career, and they never doubted it for a second. How could I possibly be expected to handle school on a day like this? This is my 9th sick day this semester. It's getting pretty tough coming up with new illnesses. If I go for 10, I'm probably going to have to barf up a lung. So I better make this one count.
But if you're like, another Friday migraine, kid, what's cooking?
No,
they're on to you. The jig is up.
It was well versed, well planned. It was more. I was not a very good student in high school, or even before that. I was a C student my whole life. So I think more or less when it was later in life, it would be like, oh, there's a big test coming up, and I would use it that way. So you're talking like middle school would be the time. Elementary school, obviously, I didn't pull that kind of stuff because I wasn't smart enough. But like, it was to that point. It wasn't like, hey, every Friday, let me take a day off. Now, with that being said, there was one year where there was a, hey, Joe's mom, your son's taking a lot of sick days.
Oh,
so yeah.
Okay.
So it was but my mom, being who she was like, well, he's a migraine sufferer,
Yep.
so I can't really, so it was, and I don't really think they cared as much back then about school for us, but or for me at least, but so it wasn't anything where I was like March 1st, March 8th, March 15th, you know what I mean? Like, so, and but now that I look at it, man, again, conniver is probably the best way to do it. Now, and the other part of it is like my mom was like Tansky's dad, where she worked nights.
Okay.
So she would come home, she doesn't want to deal with it. So she'd be like, all right, you're sick, go do what you need to do. Right.
Okay.
So it was like an easier way to do that.
Yeah.
Coming from a broken home, it was easier to take advantage of your parental units. So
Well, get them when they're tired, right? They're, like you said, they're coming off the
Get
shift, they're
'em while-
exhausted.
get them while they're tired.
That's right.
Yep,
That's right.
exactly
Okay.
right.
So with either of you, now, Joe, you said the migraines were your go-to, but did either of you have to pass the thermometer test? And you don't have to tell me where it was placed. In my house, it was under the tongue, but I know some weird parents back in the 80s. But did you have to like say, I don't feel good, and then put it under the tongue and go, no fever, you're off to school, or how'd that work?
When my mom would go get the thermometer, I would run to the bathroom and throw a little lukewarm in the old the old gully here. So when the thermometer was placed in there, it would go 102, 101.
So we legitimately have Captain and Commander Connivers over here. Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
I made fake throw up with bread, wet bread.
Oh my God. Okay. All right. Well,
I wish I would have thought of that.
I'm going to tell you how things. Let me tell you how things went in the Chapman house. Okay, and let me paint a quick picture. One, my mom was a stay-at-home mom, so and again, we're not comparing and contrasting, but it sounds like overnight working folks may sleep during the day. That's a free day for you to do whatever, and we can talk about that a little bit more. In my house, my mom was home. So first, if you said, I don't feel good, and by the way, I had a split. There were times where I really legitimately didn't feel good, but I guess we'd call it a mental health day today. I'd just be like, I don't want to go to school today.
Yeah.
When was the last time I was sick? Oh, December? And it's February? Yeah, I'm using that card today, right? But those were the ones that you had to really stretch out and have a couple of weird symptoms, because I always did get the thermometer. And so if you looked at a year and you went, all right, he missed a day in October and he missed one in December, and he was 101 here and 100 here, and I tried to drop one in February and I didn't have it, I had at least a consistent pattern. So I was like, he's probably not lying. Oh, he's regular. His temperature's not up. That's okay. And I would be able to stay home. But the rule in my house was, and I remember this very well the first time I took a day, and I'm assuming it wasn't like in the heart of winter. As the day progressed, I watched my bus pull up and all my friends get off it. And I went, all right, Mom, I'm going out. She's like, where do you think you're going? And I'm like, woo, feeling better. And she's like, no. I don't care if you felt better at 8:35 this morning. You are doing nothing until tomorrow. And I was like, oh no. So like kids would ring the doorbell. Is Corey feeling better? You want to play some baseball? He's like, he's sick.
Nope.
And so I learned early that you were locking in that day to be isolated, because I don't want to hang out with my mom. So mine were few and far between, but that was the big thing. And by the way, I kept that rule with my kids. So, and they try to pull that BS early on too, where it's like, yeah, I'm just going to go out front and shoot some hoops. Like, the hell you are? You're sick. Well, I'm feeling better. Like at 2:30, I'm like, I don't care. We're going to keep you away from everybody till tomorrow. And that kind of decreased the amount of absences in my house, because they were like, I can't do anything fun? No.
A little punch to the bread basket just to make it stick.
Yeah, exactly.
Took the old wind out of the sails, as they say.
Yeah. And so, I never, never once won any kind of attendance award. I was pretty good staying in school for the most part, but every year I would take a couple of mental health days just to, sit around, watch TV, do nothing, and kind of, do what I wanted to do on a Tuesday, rando Tuesday,
Rando Tuesday.
So, all right. So you guys you're home. Whether you're truly sick or not, is there a go-to, like, what are you wearing? Are you wearing shorts? Are you walking around that house in a bathrobe? What's the comfy feel when you're a kid? You got a Care Bear t-shirt on? I don't know. What's cooking here?
That's a good question.
Probably licensed pajamas at that point.
Ah, yes, Tank.
Yeah,
he's got the Knight Rider matching top and bottom. Yeah, okay.
I'm sure it was underoos when I was younger. That's without a doubt.
Yeah.
With the matching whatever the hell. Aquaman was probably the one that's so. But I think it was. I don't even know. That's a great question as far as. Probably underwear and t-shirt. It was probably the go-to.
Joe walking around in his undies.
Just let my dong hang out and my tidy
Can I just
waist.
side? Let me just hit the side story.
Doesn't mean
quickly.
I wasn't carrying a hammer in my pants back then.
A tiny little mallet. Just a quick aside here. Did we not all want the latest set of underoos? Like, I can remember looking through like a catalog and going, dude, there's a Superman set, and that was a bikini bottom for boys and the blue shirt with and I'm like, I want this, and my mom would be like, are you serious? And I'm like, yeah, it's a set.
Yeah.
Now again, I didn't wear that when I was sick, like you freaks, but anyway, Tank. No, Tank. Did you, like you said, just the licensed stuff, TV show stuff?
I was a pajamas kid. I did not do the walking around in the underpants.
Oh yeah, I totally did.
Yeah, mine was to if I was truly sick or playing the long game, I stayed in my pajamas. But I had this very Christmassy, very like Santa Claus-esque robe that my mother made. Maybe on a future show we can dive into how maybe 30% of my clothes in the 1980s were made by my mother.
Dude was a human Cabbage Patch.
Therapy incoming. She worked at Fabricland. She was awesome at it, but it was also like the Gordon Gartrell type of stuff where I'm like, can I get that? She's like, I think I can make it. And I'm like, oh, I don't want it anymore. But
we got that at home.
Nike on
it. She did make me a red with white trim. So just think of like Santa's, jacket or whatever. And then she stitched Champ on the back. Because my dad called me Champ,
Okay.
I was like, your name's Chapman. Like, what?
Yeah, right. And I've actually been.
She ran out of letters.
Yeah, I've picked up pizzas. I picked up like pizza delivery. Gone in and go, Chapman. I don't have the Champman. Yeah, that's you. Okay, great.
That's you.
So I would wear whatever I had on the night before, and I would only have my robe on sick days. Like this was the official. I'm home. Okay. I'm like a housewife in the 70s. I've got it all tied up. I've got a couple of pockets. One full of like dirty Kleenex and one full of clean, that kind of thing. So that was my go-to.
And your pipe, yep.
Yeah. So if the kids were like getting off the bus and they saw me in the window with my robe on, like, Corey's sick. He's not
out.
Out today. Yeah. No, he's not coming out today. So, all right. So that's some good. We're painting the picture of you connivers and your wares. Okay.
Me sitting in my underwear with my hammer dong.
You said it, Joe. You said it. Yes. Okay. So, this was clearly, spoiler alert, pre-internet, pre-TikTok and Twitter and Facebook and stuff. Pre everything, right? So us young kids had to rely on our medium, which was sitting in front of the boob tube for the most part. So did you have a particular, there are some go-tos and you guys can hit me up with those, of course, but were there particular shows that you're like, oh, I get to see what's happening on blank because it was in a window that we were shut out of because we were at school. So, so Joe, talk to me about some of the shows that anchored your homesick days in the 1980s.
So one that's vividly is I lived in Rochester, Churchville actually, and I can remember laying on the floor like blankets and pillows, staring at the TV, and my parents had this really, and I don't think they even make them anymore, kerosene heater.
Okay.
Right? And it would be sitting in the middle of the living room, and I'd be facing the TV. But the show that I always remember for whatever reason is a game show called Sale of the Century.
Okay.
Yes. Love
Right.
that.
So for whatever reason, if I was sick, that and Facts of Life are the two things that I watch, and I don't know why those stick in my head the most. And
I love it.
And I just remember watching Sale of the Century and being like, what the hell is the show? 7 or 8 years old. So I was living in Rochester. So it was just for around 83 or something like that. So it had to be something like that. So I don't even know. Like I would watch it and go, I don't even understand this, but I'd be like, I remember I think the things spun when they hit them and they would turn around. I don't even know the premise of the game, but anyways, that, and then like I said, Facts of Life, which was like pretty big because I was like, oh, what's her name? Blair was like the hottest thing.
There you go.
Blah, blah, blah. And I was like,
hashtag Lisa Welchel. We still doing hashtags?
Hashtag hammer dong, yeah.
Okay, all right.
But anyways, so I can't even tell you who hosted it. I just remember the board. Yeah. So that's I don't say it's my go-to, but probably later was reruns on, I want to say USA Network was Fantasy Island.
Really?
Okay.
And I would watch that. And that would be the one thing, because again, I think it was a Friday show anyways, or Saturday, doesn't matter. It was a weekend show. And it was obviously an older adult show. Like I'm watching Fantasy Island and I'm like, whatever age, and being like, I don't really understand any of this. But but I think those are like comfort shows. So like when I see a Fantasy Island on now, I'll just turn it on just for the sake of turning it on to see who's in it and stuff like that, and be like, oh yeah, that's a blast from the past. Sale of the Century I probably can't even find unless I go to like YouTube or something. So
definitely find out.
Yeah.
Jim Perry was the host.
Jim Perry, that's right.
Tanky, what about you? What were you diving into when you were staying home? Were you going the movie route? Were you watching home video?
No.
Okay.
We didn't have a VCR up in the living room, so I didn't have that luxury. So it was all game shows and reruns. So your concentration, your Price is Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Then, there you go. Yeah. Of course.
I Love Lucy was my mainstay.
Okay. All right. So let me throw some out at you. The 80s for me were in Canada. We did have, and I'm sure I'll reference this on future shows when we talk about media. We did have access to ABC, NBC, CBS, and the Buffalo market. So even though over the years, I think a lot of those, like say NBC shows ended up on Canadian networks and all that kind of stuff, our feed in the 80s was all like WGRZ and like those type of ones. So I knew that I could watch the local news there. And so on a sick day in the 80s, I wouldn't get up and be like, oh, I don't feel good, and then go back to bed. I would be up for the day, right? And that was kind of like extending that great day. So I always remember the day starting off with the Today Show. Like I would watch it with Jane Pauley and all that, and like, I guess they were for the birthdays and all that kind of stuff.
Charlie Gibson.
What's that? Yeah. So with me, it was almost knowing I couldn't go outside, knowing I didn't have anything else going on. I sat in front of that TV all day. And so a lot of my flipping channels was around the American networks. So to add on a little bit to kind of both what you guys were talking about, I remember everybody, Price is Right? 11 o'clock, Price is Right was on. And that's how I was learning what things cost in the U.S. That's how I knew what like not a gallon of milk, but like, a new bike cost or whatever because of that particular show. But I would watch Card Sharks.
Yeah.
I think
Joker's Wild.
Joker's Wild. Yeah. Here's another one. $25,000 Pyramid was on.
There you go.
And then I want to say reruns of Family Feud was on. The Richard Dawson stuff way back then.
Sure.
So that took care of the morning. But I got to tell you, in the afternoon, again, having my mom home, I was watching and getting caught up on Ryan's Hope. So I remember Ryan's Hope was a half hour, and I want to say it was on like 12:30. So I'd have lunch with my mom.
That was my grandfather's be all to end all. He was
okay.
It was like when it
got right. So I always remember going, half hour of soap opera? How we learn about these characters in 22 minutes? But my mom would start her afternoon with Ryan's Hope. And so, by the way, we'd have lunch and I'd go, so what's happening on Ryan's Hope? Like, get me caught up. And so we'd have this like, when was the last time you
saw
the
tea?
Yeah, we'd have this whole thing. And then her run, and it was a little bit different in Canada than the US, but I remember that went 12:30 to 1. All My Children was 1 to 1 or 1 to 2.
1 to 2.
1 to 2, and I knew like Susan Lucci. So
right.
And then my mom, I think at 2:00 there was like 2 or 3 shows. She was Another World, so we had to change the station again. And then at 3:00, I mean, I'm telling you, like I lived on
Young
this
and the
stuff.
Restless.
No, hold on, ready? At 3:00 was Guiding Light.
Yes. Oh, got it.
Kim Zimmer and all that. Okay. And then I actually had to look this up because Young and the Restless in the States played earlier. We actually got it on a Canadian station and it was 4:30 to 5:30.
Oh,
so
wow.
So I knew that show the best because a lot of times my mom would have that on the background during dinner. Right. So I would always know what's going on with Victor Newman and all of them because it was on in the background. But I actually, it sounds weird as I say it out loud, but I would have this kind of, time with my mom, truly sick or mental health day, sitting on the couch watching soap operas in the afternoon. And I've stolen from her, her saying, what does she call them? Now I can't think of what
programs.
My stories, right?
Stories,
Thank you.
Yeah.
So my stories. So I jokingly do that now when I talk about shows that we watch currently. I'll just go, oh, you have to watch so and so. It's great. It's one of my stories. And they're like, what's wrong with you? Just call it a series. That's what my mom says too. So anyway,
I call that drama on social networks. My stories.
Yeah,
That's fair too. So, the other things go ahead.
I was gonna say just real quick to piggyback off that. My mom would watch soap operas, but she would record them.
Okay.
I guess this was later because we were living in Massachusetts and she was working during the day or whatever. And it's so funny how much she would record on one VHS. Now that I think about it, it would literally be All My Children from 1 to 2, One Life to Live 2 to 3, and then General Hospital 3 to 4. I guess that's not really
General
that much
Hospital
time,
was late.
Yeah. So like that was like I would watch it if she would have it on, and I'd be like, what's going on? Like even my grandfather used to watch General Hospital because he used to tell my dad that I have to go to a wedding today, and my dad's like, what the hell are you talking about? What are you losing your mind? And it was when Luke and Laura were getting married.
Oh yes.
So he was like, I have to go to a wedding today. My dad's like, what? And that's but anyways, yeah. So
it was legit, and to the point where. And I can't remember the act. I mean, I can visualize him, but I don't remember his name. But he was an actor on All My Children, and we'll call him like a heartthrob in the 80s. And I remember this story well because in Scarborough, there were at the time there were 3 malls. Scarborough Town Center, which was the biggest mall. Think of the biggest mall you've ever been to. Morningside Mall, which was kind of the second closest to me, and it was like a mid-sized one, and then Malvern Town Center, which is where it was really the closest, and we would go and hang out there too. And core memory update here. It was in like the TV guide, the local TV guide, that this guy was coming to Morningside Mall, like on some Saturday at like 11 o'clock in the morning. And my mom's like, I'm going to go. I'm like, is he signing a book? And again, I didn't know anything about it. It's like, no, he's just making an appearance. And I'm like, can I go with you? Because he was like a star. Like I was like, oh my God, see that guy in person.
Yeah.
We went, it was one bus ride down. It was like 3 stops from us. It was like the Beatles and or New Kids on the Block were there. There were people screaming, grown women going crazy for this guy. And I just think he just came. I think he signed 8x10s and just like waved to people. But there was this afternoon, I'm going, oh my God. And you just saw the power of those soaps. But I do remember going with my mom. Yeah, it was fun. Good time.
You don't remember who it was?
I can't tell you the character's name, or like if I looked it up, I would be able to point that guy out. Was his name Tag or Tab or Tad? I don't know. I'd have to look it up, but I think my mom. Tab Hunter, perhaps.
Tab.
Oh,
do me a favor.
It was Tad Martin.
Tad Martin,
played by Michael Knight.
Yes, that's
Michael
who it was.
Knight. That's right. Yeah.
Michael Knight, Morningside
Star of
Mall.
Date with an Angel.
Oh, is he still around?
He is. Oh, I remember him. Tad.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah.
So that man, and again, just
Michael E. Knight.
Man, he made the rounds.
Yeah.
He was at General Hospital.
Yeah.
Well, they usually kind of, but yeah. Okay.
And
cool.
I will have to say
Life
this.
to Live.
Yeah, and I know, and again, I hate to make it sound like I'm dissing Canada, but when something like that happens, right? I know these are all American shows. I'm pretty sure I said to my mom, "What's he doing in Toronto?" Like, she's like, "We've got people watch it here too," and I'm like, "Oh, he's come to our country," that kind of thing. But not to be disrespectful to Canada, but like, why is he here? Like, why did he come to visit us, we little people up in in the north?
But here's a great fun fact about him.
Okay.
He was married in June 27th, 1992 through 2006 to One Life to Live co-star Katherine Hicklin, who was previously married to actor David Hasselhoff, who coincidentally had been played a character named Michael Knight.
Yes, that's great.
That's so funny. Wow. He's only 65, so that's not bad.
Yeah.
He's still back. He's still doing General Hospital, apparently.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
I guess so.
The other thing that I remember most about, again, sitting in front of the boob tube during the day, where the commercials were so different. And again, I know this is not a disrespect, but these were targeted ads to housewives, dish detergent,
and
Calgon, take me away.
All these different things that it was almost like a whole new world of TV. Yeah, you're getting the game shows, you're getting that, and you're like, why am I learning about Dawn dish soap all of a sudden? Like, it wasn't targeted to me because I was in school all day, but it was so different. Yes, thank you. Yeah.
Why is there an ad of a lady shaving her legs while sitting in a bathtub? Why do I need this?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe a hammer dong needs it, but I don't need it.
Maybe, Joe, that's why you were in the undies. Quick access to the hammer. Okay, yeah. Start calling you Thor pretty soon. Okay. All right. Okay.
That's what I do.
Okay.
Are you worthy?
Yeah. Let's get into was there I think I already know the answer to this because I think every kid that I've talked to has the same answers. But let's talk about what were you eating when you were staying home? And Joe, let's start with you. What was the go-to diet? Now, you may have a twist. You guys, because you are unauthorized, right? There's no parent. You could be making whatever you want.
Right.
Pizza rolls.
Okay. So, Joe, what were you eating?
So there's, it's funny because I talk about this. So there's 2 things. One, I probably ate an overabundance amount of cereal.
Okay.
Donkey Kong cereal was probably the number. That and Captain Crunch were probably the 2. But that, and my mom used to buy easy meals, right? Because she was busy working, blah, blah, blah. And in the freezer were microwaved, I don't know if you guys remember this, microwave French fries, microwave milkshakes. It was like one company that made
microwave milkshakes?
Yeah. Micro Magic or
Micro Magic, something like that.
The best thing ever.
Yeah.
Remember, I'm a foreigner, so
you would just and they would be in like this box, and then you would pull it out, and that's literally what I probably that, and then obviously the pizza rolls, Saltines pizza rolls were probably a lunchtime. I'd probably rip through a whole box, but like, and anything like that was just obviously kid food, but like I obviously didn't go deep and make steak on the grill or anything like that, which is probably not a bad idea now, but like it was. I think as a kid, cereal was the easiest thing to do, right? You grab a bowl, you make a colossal mess all over the counter, because God knows where boys do that anyways, but like, and it would be milk everywhere, and you just like a trail of walking with the cereal, and there's like a trail of cereal behind you. But I think I can vividly, remember living in Churchville and sitting on that floor and just having a bowl of cereal in my hand and just eating it, watching whatever I was watching. And it was just easier. I want another bowl. I want more milk. It was just, that was the thing to go. Now, I remember distinctly having strep throat one year, and the genius in me is like, I'm going to go have some crunchy cereal. Oh, I was on antibiotic. Right. So, and my mom, no one was around. So I'm going to have cereal, and I can feel it. Like ripping my throat apart as I'm swallowing, but I'm like, I don't care, I'm hungry. But so that was that. And then like I said, later in life, when I was like 13, whatever, and I could use the microwave and all that other stuff without an issue, it was those magic, what Tansky said, magic, whatever they were called.
I think Micro Magic, I want to say.
Micro Magic. That's awesome. Yeah.
The best microwavable burgers. They had a bacon cheeseburger.
Yeah, here you are.
So good.
You're right. Micro Magic, microwave French fries. They came in a box.
And but each fry had their individual.
For real?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
It was, and then there was microwave shakes. I don't know if they were the same people that made them, but
it was. They had vanilla and chocolate.
Yeah.
So you got to run me through how you're making a shake, which I'm assuming is cold. How's that coming out of a microwave? Where's the science?
Well, it just made it soft.
Made it like, and you literally could get ice cream. You could literally get ice cream and do the same thing.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
In essence.
But it was in this cup.
It was in a cup, and like you would just like sometimes it didn't. Sometimes it didn't always thaw it out, so it was just. It was good. It was awesome. Yeah.
It's scary that it doesn't exist. Like, what was I eating? But those were the best. We're going to discontinue that.
Yeah. FDA had a raid on their corporate headquarters and went, no more. Yeah.
Explains the third nut. Right.
Oh, that's awesome.
Which is weird. There's Micro Magic French fries delivered. Oh, maybe it's a restaurant. I don't know. Let me see. But like, that's interesting that. Yeah, they don't make them anymore, and it was like Micro Magic French fries. I wonder what they. Oh, they had cheeseburgers too.
There was a chicken. I want to say there was a chicken sandwich as well.
Yeah.
Micro Magic. Yeah, here's the hamburger.
Bacon cheeseburger.
Oh, you know what? Looks like they still sell them over in.
Where are we going?
I probably only had
Joe's
three. The
placing
burger,
an international order to Thailand. For Magic Fries.
That's
they actually had three kinds of shakes.
Okay.
So
strawberry,
vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Corey, I'm
happy this is opening up some core memories for you guys.
Oh my God, yeah. This is.
I want it now
because I've never heard of it. That's awesome.
I totally want a shake right now.
Joe's gonna have a sick day tomorrow. Joe's gonna have a sick day. He's gonna make some shakes.
I'm technically working from home tomorrow anyway. So,
all right.
I can just lay on this couch behind me and do whatever I gotta do. Anyways. So there.
So Tanky, what about you? What was your go-to?
It was probably the Campbell's chicken and star soup.
Okay.
Which always came with the cliche saltines, but I loved the Wonder Bread with bologna and mustard. And you would dip that in the soup. That was my go-to.
Okay. So again, on the theme and the lines that I'm truly sick and I have somebody watching over me, I didn't get a chance to crack into a microwave or do all this thing. So my mom would make soup. I'm not a big soup person. I would eat chicken noodle soup. Other than that, it really wasn't something I went for. But in the morning, if I woke up and it was declared I was sick, I always could hear my mom crack open a can of ginger ale.
Ginger ale, yes.
And then just leave it on the counter all day. And by lunchtime, it was flat.
It's flat.
I don't know the science behind drinking it with carbonation or flat outside of that. But if you're not Joe and having a strep throat,
bubbles helped your hurt throat.
But my mom would always make me wait till it was flat. Okay, no big deal. So, but and this is going to sound so sad and poor, but this is the way I was. My go-to food during the day was I would just get a couple of slices of bread, put some butter on them, fold them like a sandwich, eat those up. Yeah, I do the sound effects. A
little bit of cinnamon? Would you put a little
cinnamon?
No.
That's toast in the morning. That's fancy bread in the morning. We're going to toast it up with cinnamon. But at lunchtime, I would just get a couple pieces of bread, again, fold it like a sandwich and eat them. And then throughout the day, I would snack on saltines. Now, you wonder why my cholesterol could be high. Saltine, put some butter on it, and then when no one's looking, a little dash of salt. What the hell's wrong with me? Yeah. Saltine crackers that already have salt on them, it's in their name. Then I put butter on it that's got salt in it. Then I put salt on it.
Okay.
So that's my thing. But I would we talk about like core memories, and I shouldn't say it too many times. I don't want this to become a drinking game, but we talked on a previous episode of like me smelling a soap and getting back to the Kool-Aid days and the cherry Kool-Aid days. When somebody in my house cracks into a ginger ale and pours it and leaves the other half sitting on the counter, and I know they've poured it into a cup, later that day, or if it's still sitting out the next day, I'll give it a sniff, which doesn't unlock anything because ginger ale is ginger ale. But once I take that sip of that flat ginger ale, 1980 something again, because that's the only time I drink it was when
I missed your mom.
Yeah, thanks, Mom. But we always had that. We always had cans in the basement, and nobody drank ginger ale unless you were sick in my house. 100%. It was just weird. Yeah.
So,
okay.
So there is science to the ginger ale thing, why it's flat. So as per Lehigh University, it's important to note that flat ginger ale is preferable to carbonated ginger ale for upset stomachs because the bubbles in carbonated ginger ale might aggravate your digestive problems.
Okay.
And it helps. Yeah. So
he was looking out for your core.
I know it.
Ginger ale also helps replenish fluids-ish, I guess, more than like a regular soda. As reliably light beverages other than soda, ginger offers the benefit of restoring fluids to the body during intense upset stomach spells that may lead to dehydration. Ginger ales made with real ginger have the added benefit of anti-something properties, reducing the urge to vomit.
Yeah. That was always
the more you know.
Get the ginger ale. Okay.
And then a flat soda, a popular remedy for upset stomachs, may do more harm than good. That's why they say use ginger ale. But this person goes on and says you probably should have something with actual ginger in it, like ginger root. But anyways,
tea.
Yep. Ginger root. That makes sense. A lot of sense.
Rusted root. Yeah.
While we're talking about
truly
being ill, did you guys own a designated barf bucket? The reason I ask, because I'll lead this one. The reason I ask, because I always throw it on you guys first, is that I have clear memories, and there are pictures to prove from the 80s that I look at and I go, I barfed in that, and we're eating popcorn out of it. Or someone's had a stew or something. And I'm like, and I remember recently asking my mom, I'm at an age where, I've gone through these type of cycles with my own kids.
Your own kids, yeah.
And you ask, and I realize even in my house, we have there's a bucket I keep in the basement that I soak laundry in, like, whatever. And that's the one, like, here, take this. But I've also found, like, when my kids in the middle of the night don't feel good and they have one in bed with them, I'm like, man, I need chips out of that thing. Like, could somebody barfed in that, right? So did you guys have like the, break the glass, here's the special barf bucket, or what was you, or did you have like, take this Wegmans bag and barf into that? How'd that work?
I had a specific trash can.
Okay.
From my room, so we would just remove the whatever Wegmans bag or trash bag that was in there, and that was my puke bucket.
I had a probably, I don't know, maybe 2-foot high Dallas Cowboy trash can, and it was aluminum metal, so it was like, if it got wet, it's gonna rust. But anyways, that's what I used in my room if I needed it, and
right
you clean it out. Yeah, it was right there. So, well, like I said, what I've learned is when you go to clean it out, though, it's metal, it starts to get funny inside. Like, the ironic part is the whole family has the stomach bug, other than me, thankfully, knock on wood so far. And each one of them has slept with the trash bucket that's in the bathrooms. So, but they're plastic and they have handles on them. So when my daughter got sick the other night, I'm not trying to bring it new, but like, now thinking about it, went to dump it out, and there's handles. So you go to dump it out from that way, and it went right through the handle, missed the toilet completely, like all over the floor. So it was like, but anyways, having this big metal thing. The only problem with that is because it was metal, it echoed. So you were like sounding the horn when you were throwing out. Like I was in Lord of the Rings or something, calling like a wild beast from the woods. But like, so that's.
I thought you were going to say because it's metal and it's been used as a garbage, there might be a stink to it overall before you even puked in it. And like my thing was, as a kid, if you had the opportunity to get to a toilet, right, you were advised to go there. But then I would sit over the toilet going, friggin' smells, man. Even if it was clean and it was flush, you're like, I don't want to smell toilet water while I'm getting ready to hack.
But it helps.
Completely agree. And
helps
it's so funny.
Move things along.
It does, because you want to get it out and get out of there. But like one year when I was sick, I got up from bed and I was going to obviously throw up, and I ran to the bathroom, and there was the toilet and the sink. And which one did I choose? The sink. But I ended up having like mushrooms that night from like pizza. So it was like all inside the sink. And I'm going, oh God, what do I do? And my mom's like, what are you doing?
Okay, hold on. I'm so glad you went that route, because I'm going to tell you two stories that are little micro bursts of what you said. I was going to tell the story that I had. I was carried around a bucket too if I was sick, but one night and again, I don't know what ailing me outside, maybe flu. I ran to the bathroom because I thought I was going to fill the garbage pail, and my brain said go to the toilet, and my mouth said, how's the bathtub looking? And I barfed in the tub. And I remember, but here's the thing, and you guys know my dad. You know my dad, short fuse and all that kind of stuff. He came in, and I just remember him. I'm going, I'm so sorry. I meant to go there, and I went here. And he's like, it's okay. It's all right. Whatever. And the reason I tell you that piece of the story was, again, true story. I know we're talking about us as kids, but here's the other piece of that story, Joe. So we're at a hockey tournament in Buffalo, probably 8 or 9 years ago. We go out and we get wings, and it's Missy and my oldest son Jack, who was probably 10 or 11 at the time, and I and whatever, and we're having a good time. We have a great night, and we go back to the hotel because we're for a tournament, and Jack doesn't feel good, and he gets up. It doesn't tell us. He gets up in the middle of the night, and I don't even think he woke up. He went and barfed. He barfed chicken wings up in the sink, and it's one thing when it's your house and you got to clean it. It's another thing when you wake up and go, what is going on here? And he's like, I got sick last night. I go, do you know I have to call the front desk now? And I have to look somebody in the eye when they come in here. They're going to come in here and I'm going to go, can you help me with the barf chicken wings in our sink today? I'm so sorry. I'm going to check out right now. So like when you told that story, like you were in the sink, I'm like, oh my God, I lived through that too. Yeah. So Tank, any crazy sick day stories for yourself? I mean, we're talking about this. It could be the other way. Anything?
I mean, there was times where it was both ends. So
you
had to make you had to make a choice. So.
Yeah. Well, that would be a good one where if you're sitting on the bowl and you've got the tub right near you.
No, I was sitting in the sink and then.
Oh, you're barfing out of the towel rack. It's just all over the room. It's like a crime scene. Okay.
Who put the seat down? Why?
Yeah. So we talked about a lot of heavy on the TV side and everything, but did anybody? I guess it'd be tough to play board games unless you had a parent or a sibling that was sick. But did you do anything else? Like, did you catch? Like, we always joke today. Like, today would be, I'm sick. I'm gonna get caught up on a particular show I watched. Were you like, oh, I got a stack of comics I can read, or was there anything else that you were doing to kind of get yourself caught up in the world? What kept you busy? Go ahead, Joe. Yeah,
probably action figures. Like
whatever.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. So I had a stepbrother he was obviously a little bit older, not obviously, but he was older than I was. But he had Atari in his room.
Okay.
So I'd be like, he'd be at school, whatever, and I would say, "Can I go play Atari?" And my mom would be like, "Sure, go play Atari." And because that was probably the only time I got to play it by myself.
Okay.
Because he would obviously have it. It's in his room, blah, blah, blah. So I think it was 2600 at the time. And he had Star Wars. Was it Star Wars or Empire Strikes Back? Whatever game it was for the Atari at the time with the AT-ATs and all that stuff. So it was like me being whatever age I was like, this is the greatest thing in the world, playing Atari by myself and nobody. And, that. And then obviously playing with my toys and the general rule from my mom is don't burn the house down, don't leave the house,
and don't barf in the sink.
And that was later in life, but don't wake me, because obviously she worked at night and she's got to get her rest for the next night. So like that's what I would do. So oddly enough too, when I was younger, we had a walk-in closet. This is a terrible story to tell. We had a walk-in closet, and if I was homesick or whatever the case may be, she would literally put me in that walk-in closet and tell me to play there while she slept. And it's now that I think about it, I'm like, why do I have so many issues? It's because my mom used to lock me in a walk-in closet.
Yeah, this is a safe space, Joe.
Finish this pack of cigarettes for me.
Yeah.
I've told Christine the story about it too. Like, and she'd be like, "Your mom did what?" And I was like, I mean, first off, it was 80s.
Yeah.
Things were different. My stepfather was working. My dad was working. They're not going to pay for a babysitter. I was in this closet, probably. I mean, it was a huge room, really. It wasn't really a closet, but they use it as a closet, I guess. But she would shut the door and turn on the light and give me whatever I want in there. No, thankfully she didn't, because I would have ran through that wall. But like, it's no, I think.
But hold on a second. Like, we're joking about it and downplaying it in the way you talk about it. It sounds bad, but as in the mind of a 6, 7, 8, 9-year-old, that could be turned into a fort. That could be.
Totally.
So I again, not to give your mom some props, but today's world, it would be, here's a room. I'm going to put 8 gates up. And you got to stay in those, right? And we know folks that have done something like that and say, this is your play area, whatever. And so I actually think that's kind of cool. I meant to ask, did anybody do any like fort building, or like, all right, I'm going to put these chairs here, I'm going to get some blankets over, or was that pushing it on the like, I'm real sick, and you're like setting up the architecture.
I think that would have been too much of
a
red flag for me. Like, hey, I'm gonna go swing from the rafters now. And,
I'm gonna go put an addition onto the house.
Yeah.
There was. No.
So I got to watch TV, but I didn't have access to. Actually, when you mentioned like playing Atari or playing video games, that's almost like today's equivalent of saying, yeah, you can be on your phone all day, right? Even kids are playing games.
Yeah.
And we didn't have anything. I mean, I think I've told stories on Under Scoop Fire about having the VIC-20 computer, right? The Commodore 64's step kid. But we didn't have enough on there for me to spend the day on that, 5-inch keyboard playing Jupiter Lander or anything like that. And my mom, again, I hope she doesn't come off as being mean or wrong, but her thing was, if you're homesick, you're sick. And if you're well enough to get off the couch, you're going to do something, we'll call it semi-positive. And so what I remember most was I did get caught up on my Archie comics because I collected and read those. But the other two things were reading highlights for children.
Sure.
Because my mom would have a stack of those and be like, oh, I haven't read the October one yet. Like I would never touch those on any regular day. But if I was homesick, I'd be like, I'm going to get caught up on that.
Yeah.
And then the last thing was coloring books. Like we had stacks of coloring books in my house.
Activity books, yeah.
And the weird thing I learned and coming to the US was everybody here used traditional crayons, right? I had pencil crayons in Canada. Oh. And so they were just like pencils, but they were, I guess maybe down here you call them colored pencils. We call them pencil crayons. And that's all we used up there. So, I mean, I had access to crayons, but that would be like, draw me a picture of the sun. Oh, okay. But if you were in a coloring book and you didn't want to miss on those fine lines, you were using pencil crayons. Sure. So I get caught up on my art during that time. So yeah, my arty side. But anyway. Yeah. All right. We're flying here, guys. This is fun stuff. I hope this is unlocking core memories for you. Yeah, I said it again. So
I just want to make a clarification. My mom's dead, so you can't go after her calling her a child abuser by locking me in the closet.
Oh my God, that just got dark.
Okay, sorry.
Oh my God.
I'm just kidding.
And by the way, we never would. So okay. Wow. I just we've got Captain Conniver here. We got Hammer. I'm gonna say pants.
Hammer dong, sir.
Hammer dong. Okay. All right. Okay.
I'm like Thor. I go like this and I go right into my hand.
Comes across the room.
Yeah, but instead of you grabbing it, it's Captain America somehow all of a sudden.
Oh, if it's Chris Evans, he is a beautiful man.
Hey-o!
I mean, that's another podcast.
Avengers Assemble.
Okay, all right. Any parting shots? Any last memories of those fun sick days in the 1980s?
Well, I want to know if you used your gifts in adulthood to get out of working. In your teens or your 20s.
So what we learned in the 80s on the sick day, have you taken advantage of it as an adult? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Okay. Joe?
I mean, as
Mr.
an adult,
Migraine?
Well, no, those they're actually worse now than when I was a kid. But like when they happen, I mean, and I would never ever do that now because I know how bad they are. But there's a couple of things that benefit working from home. So there's kind of that. Hey, I have a call today, but I'm really not going to do any work. You know what I mean? So I don't even know why they give people sick time anymore as far as that. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of a thing. I would I don't just need
PTO.
Right. Yeah. And I don't need to take those days like I did back then. Mental health day is yes, absolutely. But again, that's because I need it. But I would say, I got to take a day off or whatever. But it's not like I wake up and go, my throat doesn't hurt, but I'm going to tell my boss that it does hurt. You know, there's really no reason for it now, unless I was working I'm lucky enough to work in a position where I don't have to worry about going into a place all the time. So if I'm like, working in retail and stuff like that, it's a little bit different. But like, now there really is no reason to take advantage of it. But, I do, to a point of, there's certain days where I'm working and then I'm just like, forget it. I'm just going to, do whatever else for the next 2 hours.
So to piggyback on what Joe's saying, I have I'm blessed to be able to work from home.
Same.
And I'm free to go get a haircut at whatever time or go to a doctor's appointment, right? So, and because I'm you build your own schedule. If you're sick, my company today anyway just is like, okay, great. Well, I'll talk to you tomorrow or get some rest. It's really good like that. But I'd love to tell a quick story about an organization that didn't look at it that way. A few years ago, I was with a company that had a cameras on policy, and I'm a cameras on guy. I love seeing you and everything like that. But I had told and I had it on the calendar, but I told my boss a few weeks in advance, hey, Friday, I have a colonoscopy. Thursday, I'm going to be working, but probably not going to be in front of the computer all that much unless I'm sitting on the bowl, right? And that Thursday, this organization had a town hall meeting. And so at that point, it was like 1 or 2 in the afternoon, thought I was empty. And you boys have been down this road. You're not empty when you think you're empty. But I was so exhausted from it, I logged on to the town hall, but I was camera off because I was lying in bed. Now, if you know me, I'm always at my desk. Like, go down and make something to eat, or I'll go, take a couple. But when I'm working, I'm at my desk. I don't sit in front of the TV and all that. But I was exhausted from the prep. And I got one of the people in leadership. It wasn't my boss. My boss knew what was cooking. Almost everybody in this 100 plus people had their cameras on, and I was one of the few that was off. And I got pinged like in Slack, and I was like, "Hey, Cor, I know your news. Cameras on." And I just was like, "Yeah, I'm having a colonoscopy tomorrow. Happy to do it, but you may see me in my bathroom." And he's like, "That's cool. You stay offline, man." But you know what I did to be an a-hole is like half lying in my bed.
Unmuted?
No. I stayed on mute, but half lying in my bed, I turned my camera on. And I'm just lying there watching, and they're like, "What's going on with this guy?" I'm like, "Oh, I got turned off." And I went back to the bowl and everything like that. So that's the closest into kind of, the sick day stuff into adulthood. What about you?
The only adult thing I did was when I was working at Media Play, and I was just not feeling it.
Yeah.
So I had my mom call me in. I'm like way older than anyone should have their mom call. And my boss was like, "I do not accept this. He needs to call in. He is an adult." And that actually stuck with me. And, I called in and said, "I'm not coming in today. I'm sick." But
yeah. Oh, wow.
I held that like that was my mantra, going forward. Like if I was sick, I'm an adult now. I need to do these myself, not have my mom call.
That makes sense. Oh, that's okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
The great thing about like calling in now is not really calling in. I just pop open Teams and go, I'm gonna take a sick day today.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just so much, like I said, it's so much easier. There's no real reason to take advantage of the situation as far as, if you're sick, you're sick. It's funny because we just had a department meeting, a staff meeting last week for me and my guys, and one of the guys came in with the flu and he went home early, and my boss is like, "If you're sick,
don't come in.
Be sick. You don't come in. Just take the sick days." Like it's, but it's just.
But and I know we should probably land this plane, but to speak to that, it's because of the culture of the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s that. You had to be there. And again, there's a bigger picture of the American society and the workforce.
I'm going to lose money.
Right. But the reality is, if you're sick, be sick. You're like, stay home, get yourself better. And companies are getting better with that. Not just because you don't want to get somebody else sick, but sick could also be like we kind of talked about when we didn't want to go to school, or at least I said, mental health days. I'm just not feeling it today. Today, I've got a couple of buddies that will, like locally, that'll just go, on a Thursday, I'm going to take a half day and I'm going to the movies. And you're like, my God. And they're not sick, but that's making them feel a little bit better with the chaos in our worlds today. So
and what's bananas is like, I don't think I ever saw my dad take a sick day, ever, like working at Kodak. He never took a sick day. And I was like, which is crazy because you can't take them with you, right? I mean, right. So it's like, you have 700, and it's like, told one of my guys, but like back then you never took a sick day. And if you did, you lost money, or I don't know how the world shut down back then, but anyways. So I would like to never take a sick day. Like, I guess a mental health day is always good for everybody. And
100%.
Someone takes a half day Thursday and goes see the movie. Like I've been there, done it. Yep.
I haven't, but I'm coining it the Don Draper, and I want to do it someday. Because that boy on Mad Men, he went to the movies midday almost every day, right? It sounds lovely. So someday maybe I'll do it. But
it is lovely because there's nobody there really, especially during the school year, right? Yeah. I mean, school year is the best because there's
you and like three other people.
Yeah, if that. Yeah.
And you're looking over, you're like, mental health day? Yeah, all right. Okay, yeah. Want to go get some wings after this? Okay, I'm going to go barf them up in that sink. Yeah,
like,
you think
hammered on?
Yeah.
not 7 pretending to be sick, but that's, migraine
all right.
day.
All right, gentlemen, this has been great. Appreciate you joining us on the podcast yet again. And we look forward to our next topic here on the Cor Memories Podcast. So for Joe and for Tank, I'm Corey. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for joining us on this nostalgic trip down memory lane in Saltines and ginger ale. We hope it brought back those cozy, bittersweet moments of staying homesick in the 80s, the quiet hum of daytime TV, the comfort of a warm blanket, and of course, the ever-reliable Saltines and ginger ale. Here's to cherishing the small, simple joys that become core memories. Until next time, stay safe, stay cozy, and keep those memories alive.